Hello, everyone, and welcome to this talk today. It is called Living Theosophy, the Alchemical Key to Self-Transformation. My name is Anne, but I don't like to give my name so much because I like the spotlight to be for the teachings, not the speaker. So my name is Anne, and welcome to my talk. So let's get started. We're starting with a quote here from Dr. Eddie Villamoria from Unfolding Consciousness, Exploring the Living Universe and the Intelligent Powers in Nature and Humans. The mysteries teach that spiritual illumination is attained only by raising one's lower nature towards the highest grade of perfected functioning and purity. And that is the purpose. This is our purpose. This is that alchemical transformation of living theosophy. And he also writes here, this knowledge of how man's composite nature can be most speedily and completely unfolded to the point of spiritual illumination constitutes the secret or esoteric doctrine of all ages, and it is the main objective of the mysteries. So moving on, this is the reason we are here. This is the reason we are studying theosophy at all. At least it is to me. When I first read The Voice of the Silence as a relatively new student of theosophy, there were some quotes that jumped out at me, and they still hold my heart to this day. They are, and many of you will know them, "Hast thou attuned thy being to humanity's great pain, O candidate for light? Can there be bliss when all that lives must suffer? Shalt thou be saved and hear the whole world cry?" Are we going to live 80 years on this planet, 60 years, 50 years, 20 years, one lifetime, and then off we go to salvation, and just everybody stays behind in horror and death and fear and suffering? If we were to achieve enlightenment after many lifetimes, and we move on to what? What is the point of enlightenment if it's not to share this light and love and instruction to all beings? We have a responsibility, and these quotes jump forth. They play upon my heart like a harp, and this is the reason that I'm here. Also from The Voice of the Silence, let not the fierce sun dry one tear of pain before thyself hast wiped it from the sufferer's eye. But let each burning human teardrop on thy heart, and there remain, nor ever brush it off until the pain that caused it is removed. This is our purpose. This is the Bodhisattva path. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings know peace. May all beings be loved. May all beings be free. May all beings know joy. The Voice of the Silence is the Bodhisattva path. The purpose of what is in the secret doctrine and all of the collected writings is to point us in this direction. What do we do with these teachings? And what are they for? It's not to get a PhD. It's not to be able to pontificate to others. It is to lead by example, by becoming the path itself. This is a beautiful, beautiful, powerful little poem, Shantideva. It's a prayer, and it's for as long as space endures and for as long as living beings remain. Until then, may I too abide to dispel the misery of the world. I would imagine that you too, you can hear this crushing call of compassion and empathy. And these are the people that I'm suiting up and showing up for, because I wish that I would have found something like this that helped me understand that I'm not by myself, and what we are doing, what is my purpose. This is what I was looking for all along. This here we have the pledge of Kuan Yin. This is also in a copy of The Voice of the Silence. You will see, never will I seek nor receive private individual salvation, but forever and everywhere will I live and strive for the redemption of every creature throughout the world from the bonds of conditioned existence. Forever and everywhere will I live and strive for the redemption of every creature. So what is the point of attaining enlightenment? It can't be for ourselves. It cannot be solely for ourselves. Then what? To float around on a cloud and have bliss and pleasure when others are in the darkest of the dark. No, this is the reason we are here. This is the pledge of Kuan Yin. And here we move forward to the stages of bodhisattvahood. It is important to know that these don't take place on another plane or in another dimension. They're happening right now in the trials and chaos of everyday life. This is the path that we are on together. I'm going to start on the left over here. This is the Buddhist 10, the stages of bodhisattvahood. Number one, joyfulness, a joyful, immaculate purpose, the realization that you are on your way to enlightenment, not for self, but for the benefit of all beings. This is also generosity. Number two, purity, stainless, free from corruption, the overcoming of vices, the lower self, the shadow self. This is discipline. Number three, illumination, one who radiates the light of illumination, not by speaking or preaching it, but by being it. By leading by example, by beaming this out, by being this. Illumination. This is also twinned with patience. We have radiant intellect or insight. The practice and the application of the ageless wisdom ignites the radiant flame of wisdom, burning away earthly troubles and bonds. This is also known as diligence. Number five, very hard or difficult to overcome. And this is a very difficult path. Here, they are talking about the overcoming of ignorance, illusion, and darkness. This is difficult to do. Many of my fellow Theosophical friends, they say not many people want to look inside. They want to look outside for their solution. But doing the work inside, this is where the hardest part is. Now, this is further on the path. Number five, this means through deeper inner and meditation and work and insight, self-reflection, you can come to a meditative concentration, and this is very hard to conquer. Number six, the manifest, turning towards liberation, supreme wisdom, the cultivation of the perfection of wisdom, the perception that all phenomena lacks inherent existence and phenomenal appearance. That means we see beyond the illusion, beyond Maya, to see that it is one. All is one. This is all energy, and we're reflecting as matter, seeing beyond what we perceive by the five senses, the five earthly senses. This is wisdom, the manifest. Number seven, the far going. Extended periods of advanced meditation. Nagarjuna writes, moment by moment, he can enter the equipoise of cessation. I love that. Moment by moment, he can enter the equipoise of cessation. All thoughts and actions for the benefit of others. This is also known as skillful means. Then we have the unshakable, the immovable, the irreversible, the perfection of aspiration, supreme wisdom and understanding. One who dwells firmly in the truth, unshaken, unbothered, unperturbed. I can remember reading one time that Christ was unperturbed by the crucifixion. I did not understand, but I think I understand a little bit better today, just a little bit better. This is also known as strength. Then number nine, good wisdom, good mind, intelligence, perfected ability to teach the doctrine. This is twinned with aspiration and prayers. And number 10, the cloud of Dharma, raining down, the one who rains down the law upon the earth, manifesting in limitless forms for the benefit of others, sharing the wisdom to benefit all sentient beings. The last of any afflictions of being a human is removed. This is primordial wisdom. And we move on now to the seven portals. These are our goals. This is the who, what, where, and how of why we are here. Let me say that again. This is the who, what, where, and how of why we are here in human form on planet Earth. So from the voice of the silence, these seven portals over here to the right lead the aspirant across the waters onto the other shore. Now, each portal has a golden key that opens the gate. And these keys are Dana, the key of charity and love immortal. Shila, the key of harmony in word and act, the key that counterbalances the cause and the effect and leaves no further room for karmic action. Number three, Kshanti, patience, sweet, that naught can ruffle. I do want to remind other Narjols, other Lanus, that it is always practice, always in practice, never mastered. I can't I can't speak from any experience other than I just try. I just try to become these, and I try to put them into practice in everyday life. Even though these are different evolutions and further way up the path, we all can just try. And you just got to remember, always in practice, never mastered. Eventually mastered, but not right now. Okay. Then we have viraga, indifference to pleasure and pain, indifference to pleasure and pain. We have equanimity here. This is illusion conquered, truth alone perceived. The illusion that all is one. This is one big thing happening. The illusion of Maya. This is the earthly life. We think we know what it is. It looks real. Einstein says it is a persistent illusion, but it is still an illusion nonetheless. Just like I'm looking at the computer screen, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, exactly what's happening within the computer or the internet that's bringing it in. I only see what I see. This is not the total reality, is it? Okay. Then we go on to virya, the dauntless energy that fights its way to the supernal truth out of the mire of lies terrestrial of the earth. Then we have Dhyana, which the Golden Gate, once open, leads the Narjol toward the realm of Sat, eternal and its ceaseless contemplation. And then 7 here, Prajna, the key to which makes of man a god, creating him a bodhisattva, son of the Dhyanis. So some humans will go all the way to the God part, and that's not really for many kalpas to come billions of years from now. But this is huge. These are the portals and the golden keys that opens each one of them up. Now, Blavatsky says, O weaver of thy freedom, that's you, thou hast to master these paramitas of perfection, the virtues transcendental 6 and 10, along the weary path. And it is weary, and it is steep, and sometimes it feels like it's a greased plastic sheet going straight up, but it is doable. It is doable. And she says 6 and 10. What about the other 4? Muriel Dahl has written that maybe these other 4 are unimportant because Blavatsky might have given us more information about them. She says this is not true. The other 4, which I've included for you here, in Buddhism, they're called the 4 great perfections. They're so important that they're never given to beginners, only to students who are well advanced along the way. Upaya, the perfection beyond skillful means. Pranadana, perfection beyond the vow, the promise. Bala, the perfection of power. And Jnana, the perfection beyond the cognition of enlightenment. So looking here, what are these 4? What does this have to do with Theosophy? Well, this is everything to do with Theosophy. The whole point, the whole purpose. This is it. So moving forward, we go to these transcendental virtues, the paramitas. And actually that word comes from meaning the other shore. Paramitas are not for full-grown yogis and priests alone, but for all who would enter the path. And that includes all of you here at this talk. If you're in this talk, it's not by accident. You've entered the path. These are for you. And then she writes, it should be the aim of each and all of us to strive with all the intensity of our natures to follow and imitate these paramitas to the best of our ability. To the best of our ability. This is Mount Meru. This is my version of Mount Meru. But as you can see that steep uphill climb, you can see how it's rocky. It's full of pitfalls and drama and all kinds of stuff. And it doesn't end. It goes all the way up, all the way to the very end. But this is good news. It is good news. In the end, it is. Muriel continues. She writes, the mountain looks forbidding. The way indeed means hard work. Hard work and denial of the earthly personality that we cherish so much. Our identity, our lower selves, who we are in our jobs and our families and our earthly lives. It's difficult, but there is no need to be disheartened, she says. The process goes on at all levels, huge, wide-spreading orbits for the great bodhisattvas, large spirals for the medium bodhisattvas, and little loops for baby bodhisattvas like us. We each have our place in the great evolutionary scheme of things, and our only job is to play our part well and do the best that we can, starting here and now, in the here and now. That means right this moment, right here today. She says we are given much help along the way. And I would like to add here that pain is the usher of wisdom if we allow, and that you can have an easy life or you can have spiritual growth and character, and you can evolve. You cannot have both. You can have an easy life or you can have spiritual growth and character. You cannot have both. I'm just saying. Because here, the good news is joy unto ye, O men of Mialba. A pilgrim hath returned from the other shore. A new Arhan is born. And there you are, peace to all beings, blessings on all that lives. Look at that photograph. You see hell on earth, and it is hell. There is much suffering. There is much division. Much of it, so what is it, 75%? I can't remember which Mahatma said it, but anyway, because of religion and our divisiveness, we do not see the commonalities. We look for differences. We are still very, very selfish. We are ignorant. We are greedy. We are prideful. This is a place of great suffering. So you evolve into your enlightenment and you bring that light back to earth. So you are a pilgrim returning from the other shore. You're coming back to bring that light in. You are a light worker, are you not? Well, this is the work. This is what we do. And this is what Theosophy is for. It is an instruction manual, really. It is an instruction manual for life. That's the whole point of Theosophy. Now, this is a slide that I have on this is something I have on my desktop. I love this. Even though this sounds sad and ominous, it's not. Because listen, self-doomed to live through future kalpas. Now, a kalpa is billions and billions of Earth years. We can't even get our head around it. It's a long, long time. All right, self-doomed to live through future kalpas, unthanked and unperceived by man, wedged as a stone with countless other stones which form the guardian wall. Such is thy future if the seventh gate thou passest, built by the hands of many masters of compassion, raised by their tortures, by their blood cemented. It shields mankind, since man is man, protecting it from further and far greater misery and sorrow. If you can get your head around that, there's far greater things that could happen. And remember Mialba, we talked about Mialba in the last slide. Any man-inhabited planet in the Theosophical teachings is called Mialba. It is not Dante or Hollywood that can come up with something worse than what we humans do to one another. Man's inhumanity to man. This is hell. And this is a place of learning. And we are here. We've all incarnated into it for a reason. We are here. So thinking of this, there could be worse sufferings. I can't imagine that. But there is a guardian wall. And this is for those who wish to serve humanity. They team up, they join up, and they protect mankind. The guardian wall, this is a footnote in The Voice of the Silence. This is a wall of protection. It is taught that the accumulated efforts of long generations of yogis, saints, and adepts, especially the Nirmanakayas, they have created this wall, so to say, this protection wall around mankind. It's invisible, and it shields mankind from still worse evils. Very difficult to see how it could be worse than it is, but apparently it can. And this is what I'm signing up to do. I really feel comforted by this slide. Really quick, a Nirmanakaya, for those of you who do not know, most of you will. Although literally meaning a transformed body, it's actually a state of being. This is paraphrased from the Theosophical glossary, which you can find online. This is one who leaves behind the physical body and retains every other principle save the karmic. But instead of going into selfish bliss, just going off to be just completely in euphoria forever alone, the Nirmanakaya chooses a life of self-sacrifice, an existence which ends only at the end of the Manvantara. It's a very long time. That's a big commitment. In order to be enabled to help mankind in an invisible yet most effective manner. So a Nirmanakaya is not, as popularly believed, the body in which a Buddha or a Bodhisattva appears on earth, but an adept or a yogi during life who has since become a member of that invisible host, which ever protects and watches over humanity within karmic limits, often mistaken for a spirit, a deva, or God himself, etc. A Nirmanakaya is an ever-protecting, compassionate, guardian angel of sorts to whoever becomes worthy of their help Blavatsky also adds here, no one will be bold enough to say that this idea of helping suffering mankind at the price of one's own seemingly endless self-sacrifice is not one of the grandest that was ever evolved from the human brain. The Nirmanakaya. Okay. There is something called the selfish Buddha. And I thought I'd throw this in here. I was speaking with Eddie the other day about this. And there is, and there are Buddhas or bodhisattvas that go all the way up, and then they remain solitary. This is called a pratyeka Buddha. And this is a human being who has attained Buddhahood independently of a teacher, and also who does not accept pupils or work for the enlightenment of others. Therefore, sometimes referred to as the solitary one or the way of self-enlightenment. Okay, this seems a very big oxymoron, and it does, the selfish Buddha. But in contrast to the path of the bodhisattva, who seeks enlightenment not only for himself, but for all sentient beings, and then the bodhisattva goes on to become a complete Buddha. Now, HPB calls these selfish Buddhas, the bodhisattvas, and the perfect Buddhas, the three chief degrees upon which are based the Buddhaship, which happens after bodhisattvahood, and I will not get into that here. We don't have enough time. This slide, very important, try. I've written it 3 times here. In 2017, I went to the British Library to go ahead and see the Mahatma letters myself, like many of us do. And I didn't know which ones to pick. I said, just grab a handful and bring them out. I had the whole room out in front. There weren't that many people there to myself. And I sat down and I opened these letters, and they did look like dot matrix printing. It was a very interesting ink in the paper. But one thing I left with, and it was seeing the capitalized, underlined try. I saw that and I thought, what in the world? I saw it in several of the letters that I looked through, and I thought, what are they saying? What is this try? What does that mean? And in speaking and doing some research with other Theosophical students, I have found that many of them think that trying means that we try to see the Mahatmas and try to have a spiritual experience with them. And I don't think that that's what try means to me. I'm sharing only my experience here with you. This is only my perspective, but I believe that try means that we must put Theosophy into practice and do our very best to overcome our lower selves, the darkness within us, and we, through working in harmony with nature and each other, we then overcome ourselves and we become that light to bring it into this world. We're not here to try to open up a new Theosophical center or to try to become a world famous, whatever, I don't know, spiritual superhero. We're here to try to put Theosophy into application. We are here to keep trying. No matter how many times we stumble, we are here to keep trying to be the best humans we can be for the best interest of all beings, to ease the unnecessary suffering of all beings on our planet. And also, what is your skill this lifetime? What is your hobby? What are you really good at? Then we use that. Start with that. I'm a broadcaster. I've done media broadcasting for years, so I just talk. I've voiced these teachings. I've put them up online. I've made little videos trying to share what it is I'm studying that day. It is never about me, the individual, but I'd like to give a signpost to point towards Theosophy. I'm like a commercial, if I can, because I think if somebody else can come across this and feel the way I did about it, I think it would definitely change lives. But what is your skill? Are you an architect? Are you an artist? Are you a singer? Well, then use that to communicate with the masses, promulgate and diffuse and share your experience with Theosophy. Make it relatable, attainable, entertaining even. Bring it out into the world. That's what we're supposed to do. Not just talk to each other about it. We're supposed to bring it out into the world. In the voice of the silence, I'm going to paraphrase here. It says, so no matter where you are on the path, know that the stream of knowledge and wisdom thou hast won must from thyself, from you, it must be poured forth. Its pure, fresh waters must be used to sweeter make the ocean's bitter waves, the mighty sea of sorrow formed by the tears of men. Bring it forth, try, become it, and then share it. That's what I think try means. So we have here a New Age shop, could be in Glastonbury. We have people that are interested in, they're attracted to the New Age things. They're attracted to the New Thought movement. They're attracted to tarot cards. They're attracted to ghosts and things like that. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But people are drawn to it. Some people are really attracted to following what a guru says, or having some kind of spiritual healing or spiritualist church. They just are really drawn to it. Some people are like, okay, I want to be a part of it. I'd like to help serve. I'll take a healing class or even a mediumship class. They just are attracted to it. But how many people, once they are attracted to this, remember the New Age movement is cherry picked from the Theosophical teachings. And it isn't just what Blavatsky wrote. The New Age movement, this swell of interest in the last century, comes straight from the teachings, from the Perennial Philosophy, occult science, esoteric science. It's all right there. So we have people that are attracted to it, and then we have the people that actually become it and actually live it. And I believe that that is the key. We must, great to study, great to contemplate, great to have things hanging up on your wall and a book next to your bedside and you read it. Become it. It's really important that we become it. There are so many out there that are hungry. They are hungry because they love ghosts. They love ghosts. They love the paranormal. They love the idea of a Ouija board or seance or even going to see a medium. They are fascinated with that. These, to me, are lost leads for Theosophy. Not that we're selling it, but they're hungry and they want to know more. It is baffling how many of them actually stop at the scare. There are thousands and thousands of ghost channels on YouTube right now, and they go all the way up to the investigation, and they are just so excited to have something happen outside the physical world. They run from that. They are, I don't know, they leave after that and they talk about, oh, it was so scary. It was this, it was that. They never investigate. Is this the Mayavi Rupa? Is this what is happening here? This shadow self, this astral shell, what is it that we're looking for? There are so many answers that Theosophy could actually completely explain all of this, all of it. Death, all of this. What happens after death? What happens before death? Ghosts, apparitions, mediums, memories, things like that. These imprints, elementals. It could all be explained with Theosophy. So we have the near-death experiences on here as well. I'm very conscious of the time. I don't want to go too long. But the near-death experiences, blowing up. They are blowing up all over YouTube, huge. And they come in and they share this beautiful wisdom and they talk about all the things that are in our texts. You don't have to have a near-death experience to bring back the wisdom that was experienced there. You can have access to these teachings and understandings without having to die. You don't have to. You can have the wisdom because it's in our texts. It's in our books. It's the library right there at Wheaton, where I'm filming this for. It's all right there. And you have access to this on the internet. You have access to it. So these are the hungry. And we need to share that there's more to the story if we can to help them find their way. I did a post the other day on TikTok about nature being the true church, just a little small thing. And I had somebody write me going, I've always felt this way, blah, blah, blah. What is this? Where do I find out more? And so it's just brilliant. It's brilliant that they're open to it. People are receptive and they're hungry, and the time is now. The churches are emptying out. There has never been a better time for these ancient teachings to come into the modern world and be well known. Just imagine the life that we would have if they did. Each must acquire wisdom by his own experience and merits. This is HPB from The Key to Theosophy. Fantastic text, but look what she's saying there. You cannot get wisdom just if it can't be doled out to you. It can't be initiated by paying money somewhere and then going in and having a ceremony. It doesn't work that way. Usually it's pain. Usually it's suffering is how you earn that. And through making mistakes and what we call sinning, which just means miss the mark. You just missed the mark. You got to do it again. Try again. And it's through the self-application and actually going through it and overcoming yourself, hearing the thoughts, controlling the thoughts, learning how to navigate the negative and the fear and all that. You take the control and you overcome yourself. And you must experience it. She writes here, through your own experience and merits, a scientist, to prove something, will have an experiment. For us to understand something as a fact, we must experience it. So each must acquire wisdom by our own experience and merits. The seven C's. Back in 2021, I was asked by the Pharrell Company to be a part of the Modern Theosophy series, which is an honor. And Petra Meyer has done it. Pablo Sender has done it. What they do is they team up a modern day student of Theosophy with an old school Theosophist, and then they put this little book together and they give you a subject. My favorite subject is practical Theosophy, an application. All right. Theosophy in everyday life. How do you live Theosophy, living Theosophy? So I was teamed up with George Arundel. And George was the international president back in the 1930s of the Theosophical Society. And our subject, of course, the practical application. It was an honor beyond belief. I don't make any money from that book. It is just an honor to be a part of it. And thank you to the Pharrell Company and to Moon and Martin. Thank you very much for that opportunity. The seven C's. I came up with a way to try to remember when people ask me, what is Theosophy? How do you say Theosophy? What is that? The seven C's, a very sacred number, very significant in Theosophy. And it's an ancient sacred number. So the C's, the seven C's, seven C's. Here we go. First one is carnal. Know thyself. Know who you are, man. That is the temple at Delphi. Know who you are. You must know who you, there's so much more than who you, not just who you are, your earthly personality, but know truly who you are, as above, so below. There is so much there. We could do tons of time on this, but know thyself. Carnal, the first C. And the higher and the lower self. The two parts of you, you have Mara and Buddha. You have Christ and the devil. You have Krishna and Arjuna. Know who you are. The great battle that is talked about in Light on the Path is not going to be happening in the clouds with supernatural superheroes. No, it's going to be happening inside you. And it's going to come through a lot of very, very intense work on yourself. Know who you are. The path is inside you. The Holy Grail is inside you. These teachings are the Grail. Put it into application. And this is where we are when we become the alchemization of a higher consciousness. We have transmutation. This is the alchemy. It's done inside all of us by working on the higher and the lower. Well, the higher is working on the lower. And then everything that we have that happens in our daily life. I know you think, oh, okay, Theosophy's over here. And today we're looking at, I think today our situation is my husband is looking at forced redundancy, which means we will lose the house if it doesn't come through. I won't find that out until maybe 4 more days. Anyway, it's this huge sword of Damocles that's hovering like this. And so it doesn't matter. It's going to be okay. But how does Theosophy help me with something like that? Well, it's about getting into the part where I can control my thoughts and realizing that there is far more to the story, that my attachment about things, everything is cyclical, change is constant, that it will be, that the suffering doesn't take place outside of me. It's not happening with the job or my husband at all. It's happening inside my mind. Blavatsky talks a lot about that, about controlling the thoughts where the suffering takes place. It's not exterior events. It's not exterior people. It's my thinking about that. I need to be able to find peace during the chaos and find that equanimity. Okay, so there's that. You can think if there's somebody who's got cancer, you've got a car accident, you've got war, you've got the election. Everything that you're going through right now, no matter how big or small, is a test. And it is a chance for growth. I think I didn't put her quote in here, but where she talks about, do not be afraid of your difficulties because each one is a splendid opportunity. And that is loosely paraphrased. I apologize, but it's true. Every difficulty is going to shape you and make you. And remember, you can have an easy life or you can have character and spiritual growth. You can have both. So everything, no matter what it is a chance to learn and evolve and put these teachings into practice. If it's a death of a loved one, oh, the comfort that is found through these teachings, my God, grief. Just imagine if more people knew. So a self-scan every day, all the time. This is how I live. And I know it sounds really strange, but it's maybe it doesn't, but it does to some people that I talk to that are not students of Theosophy or on this path, or even an esoteric student, friend. A scan. I'm always scanning all the time. How did I react to that? What could I have done better? And what made me that way? And this particular cringe moment back here where I made all these mistakes, I don't even know if I should say this, but I was a convicted felon. I lost everything. I had to stop drinking 22 years ago. I have lots of self-destruction, lots of self-destruction. Some destruction caused by others, not my fault. A majority of my suffering was created by myself. So anyway, as I go through my life, I try to put these things into place. How can I react differently here? What did I do last time that was not as good? How can I overcome this situation? How can I navigate through these really rough waters? And then at the end of the day, I look back and think, okay, this is all where it takes place inside and through my own understanding of who I am and how I can become a better me. So every day, all day, I'm always scanning. Know who you are, and right where you're at, no matter who you're with, your family, your coworkers, your neighbors, they're your classmates. And you are right in the perfect classroom. I know you think it doesn't need to be that way. This is not what you want, but this is your classroom. And it's a difficult place. Earth is a difficult place to be. It's not easy, but you're in class and these are your tests. And the only person who's going to judge you is you. Cause and effect. Okay, moving forward, cause and effect. Oh my God. This one is huge. We have karma coming through, karma painting a wide swath. Again, the immutable law of karma, not punishment. It's not personal either. It's just balance. That's it. It's just balance. And you have, if you do it, you will experience it. That's it. And all the sages have come through. Every single solitary teacher have said, you might want to not do that to someone else. I think I talk about that in a minute. As you do, so shall you reap. But before we get to that, karma is not just instant karma from this lifetime. You do something and it happens instantly. It's not just the previous lifetime of something unfinished business. It could be also a generational karma. It could be your country karma. There's lots. So karma is the law of balance, and nothing happens outside the way it should. It doesn't. I mean, we do have free will, but if something's happening, take a look at it and see what your part in it was. If there was nothing, try to take a look at the bigger picture and think about how it's affecting other people. Because here we have the do unto others, this law that comes through, the golden rule, do unto others as you would have done unto you. Again, not a mere suggestion. But do unto others means that if you do it, it's going to happen to you. In the near-death experiences, when they talk about the past life review, they often really illuminate what it was like when they experienced their actions, sometimes even their thoughts about other people, through the other person's perspective. They saw it through their eyes with the ultimate empathy, and they could see with more wisdom how their behavior affected other people. And sometimes it's horrifying because the good stuff, you do get to see that too. And you're like, oh, that's great. But the bad things, the cruel things, the selfish things, they get to see through the other person's eyes. And I think that that's extremely interesting when they come back with that, because that's what our teachings talk about. It is also talked about in the teachings that not only will you experience what you did and said or thought about another human being or any being, in the past life review, when you pass away from this incarnation, but you will also experience it as they experienced it in a fleshly body in another life. So imagine if the entire world took this to heart, the golden rule, do unto others, for as you do, you will receive. There would be no need for prisons or law enforcement, because we would all be held accountable from the ultimate law, the law of equilibrium. Cause and effect. Moving forward to the commonalities. The commonalities, number 3, we often, when we meet somebody new, we identify sometimes the commonalities, but often we see our differences and then we stop there. But the commonalities, we need to look for the commonalities, not just in religion, science, and philosophy, but in each other too, all over the world. But I have here the thread doctrine, and again from Unfolding Consciousness with Eddie Billamoria, Unfolding Consciousness, Exploring the Living Universe and the Intelligent Powers in Nature and Humans. He writes here about this thread, and you can see it there running through philosophy, religion, and science, going around and around the perennial philosophy. The thread doctrine passes through and strings together all of the philosophical, scientific, and religious systems and explains them on all the basis of universal principles, all of the universal principles based on eternal truths, on the truth, on the fact, not beliefs. Okay? So it's going through their science, religion, philosophy based on fact, not faith or belief. So there's the thread doctrine, commonalities. We look for the commonalities. That's a C. Moving forward, we have connection and unity. Here we have the World Wide Web. We are all one. We are all one. We hear that all the time in the New Age movement. We hear it all the time in our teachings, but very rarely do we ever act that way. We often go, yeah, but those people over there, they're, and they're that, and they're this, and she's this, and he's that. Oh, stop it. You are looking at you. Everything is a reflection of you. Everything is a reflection of you, and you are a reflection of them. We are one another. It is not up for debate. Everything is energy, expressing consciousness, expressing itself as matter, and you are that consciousness, and so are they, and so are them, and so is that. I am that I am. Consciousness, here we have universal and self-consciousness. Consciousness is difficult to describe as an absolute because as humans, I don't think we could actually do that. But consciousness is described by, again, Eddie. I'm a big fan of his work. He's bringing it modern. He's making it accessible. It's a book that he's put together. It's over 1,000 pages, but he has all of the sources in there, and they're all indexed. So you can access these ancient teachings and modern day teachings. Anyway, he writes here about consciousness. This is one of the best definitions that I've found, and it's the universal world pervading element. A universal world pervading element unfolding through all the kingdoms of nature. Dr. Eddie Villamoria. So it is expressing itself. He describes it as consciousness is the unfolding of consciousness expressing itself, not in matter, because that would mean matter is something separate, as matter. And you matter. You are matter, so it's you as well. So this universal consciousness, this thought that created everything, this wave of energy, this is also in you. How can it not be in you? That's why when people talk about channeled work, I'm thinking it's all channeled, actually. Cosmos, from within outwards. A really easy way, it's also talked about in The Voice of the Silence, is thinking that the Sufi poet Rumi, writes, you are not a drop in the ocean. You are the ocean and a drop. And that's us, the cosmos, from within outwards. We are the universe in miniature. We talk about that. It's worked and guided from within outwards. So where's all this alchemy taking place? It's taking place inside out. Okay. So you can't do anything with what's out here with other people and other things and other situations, but you can do something within you. Once you identify who you are and what's going on inside of you, you have the voice of the lower self. The voice of the lower self, I do a little series on my TikTok channel. I voice both of them, and you can hear the ignorance, pride, and greed and selfishness of the lower self. And you can hear the compassion and empathy and kindness of the higher self, and the understanding and the unconditional love. So this is where the work takes place. The ever-expanding universe is the origin of our consciousness, thoughts, and intellect. So both man and the cosmos are septenary in nature. There's more to it than that, but they are septenary in nature. And we share the same universal intelligence, the divine thought, which all spirit and matter originates from. So it's not separate from you. It's not just up. They say that stars do more than just shine. They teach. This is us, and we are that. We are stardust. You've heard all that. So yes, the cosmos is the ultimate nature. Cosmos is nature. I know we think of the beach and we think of sand and like palm trees, or the woods as nature. The universe, space, as we look out there, that is nature. That is the ultimate nature. And when we work in harmony with nature, you have nature, the true church. You are the temple. Inside you is where Theosophy takes place. Theosophy is all about you. The cycles, everything is cyclical. Breath goes in, breath goes out. Tides go in, tides go out. Moon goes around the earth, earth goes around the sun. Everything is cyclical. Everything. How do we not know this? We look at nature. It can teach us. You don't even have to read the books. Just look at nature. Cycles. Everything is cyclical. All right. So we're thinking about death. Well, I'm just conscious of time. I wanted to move on. This is one of the biggest cycles, I think. In the Western world, we celebrate birthdays. We celebrate happy birthday, oh, death, but we always act like death doesn't come. Death is the other side of the birthday. It's extremely natural, normal, and wonderful. It is not an ending, it is a transition. We move on. I think of it as a graduation. Death is a welcome friend that comes to say when the night has come for this lifetime, and then you go to sleep, and then you wake up again. Our teachings are so comforting if we could get our head around that. Just imagine what grief would be like if we understood the bigger picture. So cycles, death, everything is cyclical. When things are difficult, you're learning. When things are good, you get to rest. That cycle never stops either. And death will come for us all. We're all going to die. We are all going to die. But, all right, through understanding death, we can learn the meaning of life. This is a very powerful thing. I love death. I absolutely love, it's one of my favorite things to talk about. I love death. I do. I find it really comforting. And when I'm at funerals and things like that, my husband will say, you need to calm down because not everybody looks at it like you do. And I go, well, I think they should, because I think there are some hospice nurses that are getting there and helping people with that. But we need to promulgate and share and diffuse, share these teachings, ease that suffering, ease that suffering. True alchemy, as we move forward to true alchemy, laboratory alchemy is really a code for achieving perfection, not making gold out of earthly metals. It's a code. It's just kind of the words they would say. The real alchemy is overcoming the darkness of the lower self into the pure spiritual self. You're raising that consciousness, and that is alchemy. That's true alchemy. And it's Mircea Eliade, I think I'm saying this right. He has said that it is a perennial, meaning always, always evolving, perennial, inner mystical spiritual quest encoded in symbolic language, shared thought throughout all cultures. All right. It is an inner mystical spiritual quest encoded in symbolic language. Because you can't really, I mean, I guess the church back then and the people in the suits back then would think it's great, you're making gold, earthly wealth, la, la, la. But the true alchemy, the true alchemist is actually the transmutation, the transmuting of yourself. And the secrets of alchemy exist to transform mortals from a state of suffering and ignorance to a state of enlightenment and bliss. This is Deepak Chopra. So the transmutation, this is it, true alchemy, the transmutation, the transformation of man himself. Who's going to be doing that transformation? Well, life will be handing you lots of heaping hot coals and lots of cool water. You navigate this path. It is you that will be doing the transformation. You're the one. And to me, Theosophy gives you the textbook to do it. Any of these texts that are real, genuine Theosophy, they're about this, how to do this. The voice of the silence is the Bodhisattva path, this quest for enlightenment to ease the unnecessary suffering of all beings. This is why we do it. Why are you transforming? What, so you can go off in a cloud somewhere by yourself? No. That I don't get that, but I understand the selfish Buddhas and things like that. I get that. The purification of attitudes, the thoughts and the actions of mankind to purify that, to transform. That is pure, true alchemy. And then we have here, this is a quote from Krishnamurti. The truth is denied when you follow a guru or a priest. So don't be looking for it outside yourself. Don't pay to go, I don't know, have ayahuasca and have somebody walk you through it. Don't be going to somewhere to pay fees and then think that they'll dole it out to you. This is a work that comes from within, usually through pain and the trials of life is where it's polished. But Krishnamurti advises here, what you are is the truth. Now that truth is denied when you follow somebody. Follow a guru, follow a priest. If you do that, that's not the way to go. He says, therefore, one has to be free from this spiritual authority. Authority destroys not only truth, but your understanding of truth. This is a solitary journey. Leaders destroy the followers and followers destroy the leaders. You have to be your own teacher and your own disciple. You have to question everything that man has accepted as valuable or as necessary. And this is, again, I don't know why we keep looking for somebody else to do it for us. They can't digest your food for you. You have to eat it. You digest and build your body. It's the same thing. You must digest these teachings and put them into practice and build your own way along the path. Then we have promulgate, demonstrate, diffuse, to make known and make public. In the Theosophical Society, there are objectives that talk about promulgate, diffuse. And what that means is don't keep it private. Yeah, I mean, some of you can keep some private, but you should lead by example. Let your light shine by your actions, by your words. And if you have special talents that you could share these with the world, then do so, please. Please, if you can do it through art, if you can do it through, who you work with or whatever, be a proactive member of this bodhisattva path to help let others find the way. And like I say, I like to work as, I don't know how to describe it. I don't get paid for it. I just try to be a spokesperson. I'd like to be a signpost. You might want to look this way. Take a look at this. This is something that's helped me. I've enjoyed this so much. It means so much to me. I love these teachings. You might too, but you don't have to if you don't want to. That's what I say. So it's not a cult. It's simply a way of living. And here are some examples of living theosophists. And there are many, which is very comforting. We have Emma Patterson, who's in her 80s, late 80s. She is in Montgomery County, Maryland. She has fostered over 40 children. And she writes, she says, this was not something that I thought anybody paid attention to. I didn't do this for the purpose of anybody to get any recognition. I did this because there's always a situation where it's just a boy or a girl that didn't have anybody to care about them and they needed a place to sleep and something to eat. So I just loved, that's what she did. That is living theosophy. Another one here, we have the Christmas truce, where you see this series of widespread unofficial ceasefires along the Western Front in the First World War. These soldiers put their weapons down and they saw humanity in the other. They realized this was not their war. They didn't have a beef with the other guys. And they stopped and they played ball and they laughed and they played. And this is beautiful. This is the UK and France and Austria, Hungary, Germany, Russia. They were all there playing ball like humans. That's an example of living theosophy. Another one here, we have Janusz Korczak. Janusz Korczak, I'm not sure if you know, I'm sure you've heard of his story. His name is Janusz Korczak. He's an educator, a children's author, an advocate for children's rights, and a pediatrician. This compassionate founder of a director in an orphanage in Warsaw was early 1900s. He just loved kids. He never had any kids of his own. But when 198 kids and several staff members were taken by the Nazis for extermination to Treblinka, Korczak, he was given permission to leave. They got to the camp and they said, oh, you've done an orphanage that was Catholic. You're free to go. You don't have to stay. And he goes, no, I'm not leaving these children. I'm not leaving these orphans. Then a guard said to him, I recognize you as the author of one of my children's favorite books. You don't have to stay here. You can go. He says, I am not leaving. He says, you do not leave a child sick in the night, and you do not leave a child at a time like this. He told the little ones that they were going out into the country so they could be in good spirits. He says at last they could have a chance to leave the suffocating city walls and go out to the fields and the streams where there's flowers and they could bathe and there was woods and berries and mushrooms. He told them to wear their best clothes so that then when they came out into the yard to head to the chambers 2 by 2, they were dressed well and in a happy mood, and he stayed right beside them. Comforted by his loving presence, inner strength, and calm, the children did not feel abandoned, nor were they scared. Because Korczak was there, he accompanied 200 orphans into the gas chambers and was never seen again. That is a living theosophist, if there ever was. So desire wisdom, love all beings, do your duty, forget yourself. All right? Desire wisdom, yes. Love all beings, do your duty, forget yourself. Just doesn't mean completely forget yourself. You got to work on yourself, but the lower self, the ego, the one that wants to be important and know everything. Let each thought of your life and each act of your life have for its aim the finding of divine wisdom. Strive to apply that wisdom for the good of all beings. And if you search in every direction, light must come to you. That's William Q. Judge. Light must come. It will come. And here we have the soul of man is immortal, and its future is the future of a thing whose growth and splendor has no limit. The principle which gives life dwells in us and without us. It is undying and eternally beneficent. It is not heard, nor seen, nor smelt, but it is perceived by the man who desires perception. Each man is his own absolute lawgiver, the dispenser of glory or gloom to himself, the decreer of his life, his reward, his punishment. The idyll of the white lotus. Again, the soul of man is immortal. You are immortal, and your future is the future of a thing whose growth and splendor has no limit. All right? We are to take Theosophy and we are to feed the hungry with not only these little words here, all of it. We are to feed the hungry with them through our own self alchemization. We are to feed the hungry, and everyone is hungry. Look at the state of our world right now. Look at our climate. Look at what we're doing. Look at how we still fight and murder and maim, and we're separate. That is the greatest heresy, to believe that we are separate from one another. We are not separate. We are not. So, to close, together, let's say this together. For as long as space endures, and for as long as living beings remain, until then, may I too abide to dispel the misery of the world. Thank you for letting me share. And it's been an honor being here with you today. I love you.